Alright, so I have cancer, a bad one. Diagnosed when I was 30, given very little chance of survival for 5 years, and still here 6 years later. Still have cancer too, though. Docs think that it will eventually kill me, be it in a year, 3, or 5 from now. I already exceeded all the stats and expectations, so anything from here on is a bonus. Not here for pity, really, plenty of that to go around. Now, when you're 36 and actively dying while you have a wife and 2 babies is hardly a fun affair. In fact, it is not so much the fear of dying for me, but rather the fear of how my family will go on without me. Not trying to get all emotional here as it does weigh on you heavily throughout the day, especially in slow moments when you're not actively running around. My buddy got me into golf some 6 months ago and I got obsessed. Being a former pro and DI athlete, I was sure it was the challenge and the difficulty of the game that enticed me. But I found myself playing solo a few days ago, almost nobody on this beautiful course, and I just stood in the fairway soaking it all in. The full spring trees swinging in the wind, the peaceful lake, no outside noise, no cars, no work action items, no Zoom and Teams, heck, even the chill ducklings walking across the fairway, not understanding that my drives will likely kill them because I can't aim. It is precisely the serenity that this game offers that is often overlooked. I have an important scan coming up on Monday to show if cancer has spread and its inevitability is causing insomnia and consuming most of my thoughts. But for those 3 hours on the course, I play solo and finish 18 in 2.5 hours usually, cancer never enters my mind. Not once. I'm 4 days from learning my fate, and my family's, for that matter, but while I'm in that bunker trying not to have a quadruple bogey meltdown, I'm not thinking if there's death looming inside me. It's like death, uncertainty, and fear all get checked at the pro shop, and once you walk onto the first tee, these are all just distant memories happening on the outside, their noise drowned in the sound of me shanking my drive. The only inevitable downside of playing golf is that it has to end. So when I get home and look at my round stats, I learn that my $15 driver isn't getting the distance I'd want, so I look at new drivers, but then I wonder if I'll live long enough to get to use it properly. Hard to justify buying a Sim 2 big dog if I'll swing it for a month. And just like that, you slip back into the morbidity of it all. No real purpose to this post, but perhaps do consider the privilege we have and the peace we get to enjoy when roaming these fairways. Duffing a chip shot is deflating, but the fact that you get to duff it is priceless. Keep duffing, friends. Update 1, May 10, 2022. Boys, the cancer is back. Help me plan a killer, no pun intended, 2 weeks of golf. Last week I posted this thread to describe how much golf has helped with finding peace amid dealing with what appears to be terminal cancer in my 30s. So many of you guys reached out, a couple of Redditors even being so generous to offer their clubs, which wasn't my intent at all, but your selflessness is truly heartwarming. This community can be brutal if you don't hit your drives 400 yards, but boy do we come together when things are serious. Well, the scan results came in and 5 new spots of concern are showing. They are spread throughout the body, which is not a great sign. I will be doing some more tests and biopsies, but it seems that heavy chemo is in my cards once again. Deflated. The second the first drop of chemo enters my veins, my golf season will likely be over. These therapies are efficient but strong, they take your strength to where you're having a tough time lifting so much as a remote, let alone a driver. Doc hasn't called it yet, but to my cynical self, it looks like this may be the start of the end. Tough pill to swallow with 2 little kids and a wife, man. And with that, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. The chemo likely won't start for several weeks and I'm toying with the idea of taking 2 weeks off work and just trying to squeeze in as much golf as possible, maybe even 2 rounds a day. It fucking kills me, man. On my drive to Duke Cancer Center I stopped to play a round near Greensboro and I shot my best score yet, a 96, 5 months of playing, have mercy. Some things just clicked, and I thought, wow, I'm figuring this out. I even sank a 15-feet putt for par on hole number 18 and almost cried overcome with emotions of joy and uncertainty of what the scan is about to reveal. And boy did it reveal some things. So, on to the advice piece. Do you think it's a good idea to take 2 weeks off and aim to play 28 rounds, then carpet bomb my body in hope of living to see another season? I'm in Georgia but maybe up to travel around. I'd have to make arrangements for someone to assist my wife with the kids while I'm off doing selfish bucket list activities. Are there courses that would be a must play but also accessible in the next several weeks? What would you guys do in my situation? I'm open to any ideas here, fellas. It's tough to think through the logistics of planning golf while I work on the logistics of not dying. And once more, I'm not the one for pity, so please don't feel it for me. I'm 36, but I've lived a good life. I have an amazing wife and 2 beautiful boys. I played high-level basketball, earned a full ride, made it to the ESPN back in the day, published a book, flew a plane, survived an unsurvivable cancer for 6 years so far, and I'm working on my PhD which I hope I will have time to complete, even if bold and skinny. Wouldn't mind a title of doctor on my tombstone, I like morbid humor, no worries. I enjoyed the company of beautiful women, saw many countries, and had amazing life experiences. I'm not the one to pity, believe me. I appreciate your thoughts as I get ready for this new adventure. And since my name appears in my comment history many times. Update 2, June 2nd, 2022. Chemo starts in 5 days and I thought I'd provide an update on my golf cancer trip and how ridiculous this community is. So far, I've had cancer return 5 times, 5th occurrence being a few weeks ago. Funny enough, my brain never gets used to hearing it's got an expiration date. As soon as those dreaded words land, the first reaction is fuck, accompanied by the butterflies stampeding through my belly. Immediately after, in creep the images of my 2 little sons crying at night calling for Dada, and Dada is chillin' inside an urn in the garage next to unused sleeves of Kirkland balls. But then, rationality prevails and, after feeling sorry for myself enough, I start thinking about the things I can do. Obviously, my family and the treatment are my first considerations. My wife and boys to be safe and to get on the most potent poison they got in hopes of once more eradicating this thing. Then, personal desires come into play, which is what brought me to you guys a couple of weeks ago to ask for advice on where to play before my chemotherapy starts again. If I were to speak about every kind message, interaction, or gift I received, we'd be here all day. The selflessness, generosity, and kindness displayed by this community is not only heartwarming and comforting, but it stands in stark contrast to what most folks perceive golf to be about. The community here can scold you if you don't hit your drives 320 plus but find yourself in a foxhole and everyone shows up. I'd like to emphasize again that, while I was blown away and eternally grateful to you guys, my intention was never to benefit from my posts or my illness. Yet, I can't help but feel that I benefited too much. In addition to hundreds of messages, which I'm still responding to, and displays of generosity, this whole thing snowballed into something I could have never imagined. In short, I ended up being a guest on a golf group therapy podcast where we talked dying and chunking wedge shots. This was followed by an article in Golf Week that spread across the internet. The crown jewel of the entire experience, however, was an invite from an incredibly kind Redditor to play Pinehurst courses. There will be a Pinehurst produced video too featuring your guys' comments. Folks, Pinehurst indebted me forever. What started off as a couple of Reddit messages with a Redditor who works there ended up with my family driving up to NC, staying at Pinehurst Resort, and playing the best courses that America has to offer. I was given tee times for number 2, number 3, and number 4. I was given a caddy who caddied for Tiger, Rory, and Daly, amongst many others. To hear him tell stories of these legends who walked the same fairways as I felt very much like I was in a fairy tale. I too putted and heard a story about Daly sinking a 10-foot putt with one hand and with a hot dog in his mouth. Hell, I had 2 videographers follow me while I played number 4. You know what's crazy? Here I am, 6 months into golf, barely grazing at under a 100, and all of a sudden, I'm walking Pinehurst courses with drone cameras and Hall of Fame caddies. Yes, I shanked plenty in 4K. The best time I've ever had. Scored 3 pars on number 2. Cart girls were hitting on me because they thought I was famous with my height plus cameras. They moved on soon after I chunked my 3rd shot. We walked into our room to be welcomed by a handwritten letter and a bag of Pinehurst goodies. At the first tee, the director of golf presented me with an engraved Pinehurst medal and a Pinehurst flag signed by all the staff. I cried on the first tee, boys, and I never cry over dying. Still hit a 190-yard bomb off the tee. Here's the absolute honesty. Walking these magical Pinehurst fairways caused an internal conflict, or war rather, of emotions. On one hand, it'd be every golfer's dream to have this experience, let alone only 6 months into the game. I remained speechless at the opportunity I was given. On the other hand, such an outpouring of love really sobered me up to how serious my situation is. Pristine fairways, Tiger's caddy, and getting par on number 2 only come when attached to a terminal prognosis. Yet that wasn't enough to even so much as put a dent into my experience there. I was truly happy. I couldn't play all the courses you guys so generously invited me to, at least not at this time. Heavy chemo starts next Tuesday, and I'll soon be walking around with a pump that'll so kindly be pushing poison into me. While my doc holds hope that I'll be able to sneak a round or 2 in during this period, my experience with these infusions suggests the opposite. I've played 33 rounds this year so far, and I'm hoping to push that to 50 before the chemo truly kicks in, which is likely in some 3 weeks. There's a Hail Mary clinical trial that we're working on to see if I qualify, but when you start considering Hail Marys, you're likely to soon meet Mary's son. Guys, you all have made this sticky situation infinitely better. Hell, you've poured goo gone with a fire hose. In my 6 years of flirting with the afterlife, I've never felt such warmness from people. For a bunch of strangers spread across the planet to come together and offer help in tea times to someone like me is ridiculous. And to think, I kept refusing to get into golf because of its exclusivity and pretentiousness. Thank you. Update 3, July 6, 2022. Checking in from the chemo chair, boys, the poison is flowing freely, but I got my first birdie yesterday, so who really won? I've been getting so many messages checking in, so I figured I owed you an update. Before I started chemo 4 weeks ago, You might remember I asked for help choosing courses to play before the poison wipes me. I ended up having the time of my life being hosted at Pinehurst, and they made a video about it, featuring your guys' comments. Don't mind my atrocious looking chicken wing swing, I shot a 112 on number 2. Best time ever. Also, please forgive the tears in the end, I'm usually your stereotypical man who don't cry no tears, but this got me. Then, a fellow Redditor Justin invited me to BMW Pro AM, where I tagged along for a round with him and a few celebrities, an NHL player, a race car driver, and a Golf Channel/podcast host. The NHL player told us a story how he was fined $500+ in a single game. My mans was fined a 2-story single family home with 2 cars and he laughs it off before hitting a 300 years drive. Hey! They were really cool people, and they took me out to the racetrack after where I was driven fast and furious style. At the first turn I was afraid, but then I realized I was already on my way to the grave, and how cool would it be to die in a fiery wreck compared to hospice bed? Also, Justin arranged that Nike send me a pair of Jordans for golf, no biggie. As for the chemo, it fucking wrecked me, boys. The first round ended with puking every 30 minutes for 48 hours straight. Biblical shit, mates. It is so unbelievably counterintuitive to request max dose of chemo and beg them not to lower it when you're barely hanging on by a thread. 2 days after the infusion I tell myself I'd rather die than do this again, and then 6 days after the infusion I ask them to keep the same dose, which they described as never prescribed to a human before due to my unusual height. They wanted to lower it by 20%, but I don't want 20% less chance of living so that I can feel 20% less suffering. It all blends into a single shade of black past a certain threshold. I feel like a cockroach getting sprayed with Raid. I flip on my back and stop kicking for 7 days and then flip back over and resume living. This shit dissolves your entire personality like an Alka-Seltzer. Because treatments were 2 weeks apart and I only had 2 so far, I managed to squeeze in 2 rounds of golf at the very last night before each chemo infusion. The first round I puked 3 times but shot a 99, which I'll take. Something got into me over a 5 minutes period and I pured my 7-iron. The first shot went 235 years and the second 220 years. Never again did that happen. Last night's round was a 101 score, only 1 vomit situation on the 18th fairway, and I got my first birdie ever. I was overjoyed, fellas, truly. It fucking sucks that the immediate thought after the birdie was this is kinda poetic as it's likely my last round for months, if not ever. Cancer gets into everything, even the unrelated joy, man, like a shitty glitter, which is all glitter if we're being honest, don't tell my wife on Christmas. So that's it my dudes, as I hit this submit button and you hit your tee shots, a fluid containing platinum is being poured into my veins. Fucking platinum, how ridiculous is it that you have to pump precious metals into yourself to have a minuscule chance of living, huh? I call it the Key Jewelers special. Yesterday was exactly 6 years since the diagnosis that left me with an 8% chance of living 5. Let's get it. In the end, I want to thank this community for such an outpouring of support. You dudes gifted me clubs, checked on me, sent me books. I made 3 friends during these adventures, and they will remain close to me. I am so thankful to you all. Onwards, Milos. Update 4, December 13th, 2022. Still kicking, boys, though I came pretty close to meeting my maker. I may have almost ended, but my golf plans sure have not. My good people. So many messages of concern and questions about how I'm doing. I remain touched by you. I have to admit that the last 4 weeks were a wild ride and I'm considering optioning my story to Disney because they can't possibly design a roller coaster as crazy as this. I checked into the hospital with nausea and 2 days later I was having an emergency brain radiosurgery. Oop is in a hospital. His head is held in place by clamps, and he's wearing a nasal cannula. 2 days later I developed a blood clot. 7 days later I developed a sepsis, the infection that nearly killed me as I coded in my room and ended up having 30 nurses slapping me asking me what year it was and who the president was. I was only able to answer that Biden was the president unfortunately, but it surely beats the alternative. At that point I was back although they told me that I was very close to checking out to Valhalla. On my way out of hospital, as I go away present they told me there are some spots in my lungs that are concerning for cancer spread. I'm now home and I'm more determined than ever to play golf or at least accomplish my biggest golf dream. Sadly I used to have plans to play golf as soon as I can as much as I can but the reality is that I'm far worse than I thought I would be at this point and things seem to be deteriorating. The bright spot is that the doctor told me I will be off chemotherapy for the next 6 months which will hopefully allow me recovery enough to do what I want to do. And that is complete my bag with a Scotty putter and go to the St. Andrews Old Course and play around. After that, from golf perspective, I'm ready to check out and start playing the Sky courses. I gotta tell you fellas, I'm kind of heartbroken these days. Nearly dying in the hospital, I realized just how fragile the life is regardless of having been sick for a long time, and it just hit me that I could have gone without saying goodbye to my boys, and all that would be left is them asking where is Dada while I'm sitting in some freezer in the basement, and that just breaks my heart. Now that I'm home from hospital, I'm extremely cold and I occasionally wear gloves, and my boy comes up to my room in the morning and brings me gloves, and it fucking tears my heart to shreds that he has learned that already. I've made as many videos as I could so far for my boys. I started writing birthday cards for them, and I just don't know what else to do to be remembered because they're so young. And I don't know why I care about being remembered, because I don't think he will matter to me when I'm gone. But enough sobbing. I came here to tell you that I'm still alive and I'm still dying, no pun intended, to play golf, and that I will accomplish these 2 dreams of mine. If I get better earlier, I would love to play much more and play with so many of you who have invited me. I once again urge you to go out and play as much as you can and forget about excuses and everyday problems, because you have the ability to play and you have the freedom to do so. Update 5, May 2nd, 2023. Live from the chemo chair with an update. Boys, it's been rough. My boys, my unlikely community of support. I should be sobbing on one of those confession subs, but this community has carried me through the past year in such a manner that I'm not sure I'd still even be here without you. I wish I'd come with better news, but here I am, in yet another chemo chair, worse looking than ever. Oop is in a medical setting wearing a black baseball cap with a golfing emblem on it and surgical mask. Since the last time we spoke, I have had 3 additional gamma brain surgeries, which was absolutely brutal. After all this, we were all hopeful of a modicum of success, but one day I was taking a nap and got a message from my doctor that tumors on my brain were too numerous to count. When you get hit with that, you naturally want to look up and curse out a god you don't even believe in. So, we did more brain work and reached some sort of steady state, only for cancer to spread to my hips, lower back, and ribs. Such a feeling of defeat, receiving this news on the phone as my 1.5-year-old is hugging me by my knees because he's still too little to reach. I tried talking to my 4-year-old about dad having a big ouchie and needing to go up in the sky soon, but he would refuse to understand why he couldn't join me or stay with me there. That he'll never see me again. That I'll never sneak him another Sour Patch Kid and get in trouble with mom. I'm writing this through tears, so forgive my writing, not to mention this isn't my first language. My youngest, I was hoping I'd die before he started recognizing me, but now, he runs to me with joy, happy, saying Dada, and all I can see is the heartbreak headed directly his way. So, what is there left to do? Nobody can give me a date. I am nearly certain that I won't be seeing 2024. I'm currently on new chemo and radiation with little hope of working. I do have a golf and non-golf bucket list that I cut down to the biggest ones, though those 2 now seem unreachably far away. I really wanted to see Japan. That is always on the top of the bucket list. Japan seems as distant in miles as it does in possibility of reaching it. I would have loved to attend a major, and with masters behind us, chances of that are significantly diminished since I'm in Georgia. St. Andrew's Old Course, this place always represented an impossibility for me, but I dream of walking up to Neil on that 18 green and just kiss it. I feel like I could then look up and tell him to rake me away. That's pretty much it, boys. The thing is, some of these are doable, but with 2 babies at my knees, I can't justify filling my bucket list with money my boys will need for food, or school. I did come back because I'm not fucking quitting on golf. This Saturday I'm playing in a scramble tournament. My docs guarantee my rib will shatter during a swing because cancer has made it too brittle, but fuck it, boys, do I even need all my ribs in hell? I want to keep playing through pain, nausea, and fatigue. Golf has become such an inextricable component of my life that I cannot die without it. Duke Cancer Center invited me to speak and play at their annual cancer tournament, but that's in September, which is kind of too ambitious into the future. So here I am, fellas, naked, skinny, and shattered in front of you. Why? I don't know. You provide me comfort and humor in the times when both re scarce, and I come back to you like a fiend. Love you peeps. I truly do. I created a GoFundMe finally, but I can't share it here. If you are interested, please message me. Tons of love and gratitude. Update 6, May 3rd, 2023. Your boy Anas is going to St. Andrews next month, and it is all absolutely thanks to you guys. Speechless. My boys, my people, my family. I can't even begin to describe the previous 24 hours and how much you guys have changed my life. I honest to God 100% did not intend to create a GoFundMe, because to me 9 times out of 10, it's people taking advantage of willing, kind people like yourselves. Although I didn't plan it, after the assistance of literally hundreds of you, I just felt compelled to create a GoFundMe. Unfortunately, according to this sub's very reasonable Reddit rules, I wasn't able to post the link, but I can tell you that it's been shared over PM hundreds of times, and we have now reached more than 200% of the initial goal of $5,000. If anyone out there, still interested in a link, please, PM, me through this point. It seems like complete absolute greed on my end, since you guys went above and beyond of what I even visualized. You afforded me to live in the luxury of looking at some new clothes for the trip, which is always exciting to me. You have given me excitement and happiness, even before the trip, not to mention during it. Fellas, believe me, there were some gloomy days these days, but today for the first time, and I don't know how long, I woke up with cancer not being the first thing on my mind. You guys were. What does that mean? It means that your boy Milos is going to Scotland to play at the Old Course. This may be the first time in my life that I use 3's non-sarcastically. You made this happen, nobody else but you. The best part is that I'm so limited on time, as you can imagine. I will be going soon, and I'm looking at June 7th to 12th to be in the area playing the links courses, and especially the Old Course, should I be able to get a tee time. This is why I need the assistance of my Scottish fellows, who jumped into the thread yesterday with the help around logistics, and especially getting a time at St. Andrews, which I hear is less than easy. For example, Enigma 1984 and Chunder Stompson are from the area and offered help with the logistics, so I come asking if you can help in any way with logistics around scheduling. Even advising on what to do in between the rounds would be amazing, and of course, sharing a pint would be warming my heart to meet such incredible people. Anyone else who has any knowledge of packages for St. Andrews? Please let me know. It seems like that's the route to go with getting the tee times done. My wife will also be emailing St. Andrews today. I simply cannot believe that I'm going to St. Andrews, and I will be walking the bridge, and I will be kissing the grass on the 18th. I am in absolute tears writing this because I can't comprehend that this would ever happen to me, and it is exactly you who made it possible. I am intimately, forever and completely indebted to you that I will never be able to repay it, but I will document every single step of my journey as the least I can do for my people here. Finally, I will be traveling with a Redditor who originally reached out to me to come to play Pinehurst, and since we became friends, and this was his dream too, it looks like he will be joining me, which is unbelievable. Of course, I will be taking my boys and my wife as well, and we might even stay in London for a few days after, since she has a lot of family there. If any of you have any advice to chip in, I am all ears. In the end, I thank you infinitely, as I remain grateful for however long I live in hell. If there is an afterlife, I will be grateful there to you, and will be boring all the angels up there with the stories of my trip to St. Andrews. Update 7. On June 9, 2023, Oop fulfilled his dream of playing at St. Andrews. In the first, Oop holds a golf club on a large golf course. In the second, his hand is shown holding a yellow golf ball that says Milos and r/golf were here 2023. Final update, January 20, 2024. It is with our deepest sympathy that we announce the death of an OG no sleeper, an ass, Milos Bogatic. Author of popular stories such as I Am a Grown, Logical Man, Crying Tears of Horror Right Now, or the story of her holding an orange. And I was a part of Queen's Guard in England, one of the rare jobs where you aren't allowed to move, no matter what stands in front of you, as well as I was an air traffic controller at Atlantic Municipal Airport, Iowa for 27 years. My first year at the job, I unwillingly went from a firm atheist to a believer. An ass was a force to be reckoned with in the world of short horror stories. As some of you may remember, an ass announced his battle with cancer several years ago. He battled long and hard, but ultimately succumbed to the disease last night. We would like to send our love and prayers to his family, friends, and anyone who loved him. Our love and prayers also go out to the r/golf community, which he frequented often as a beloved member of the community. You can find a heartwarming tribute to him here. Rest in peace, Milos.